Right, I'm very happy to move on to the next point of today's agenda after we had the nice introduction of KNX Secure. So right now we have Mark Warburton. Mark Warburton is a celebrity and VIP in the world of KNX. We've seen him at many fairs, at many shows of KNX, definitely wherever KNX UK is to be found. You can also see Mark. And also when CEDIA has nice presentations, then you also know that Mark is not too far away. However, Mark, not only you as a KNX figure, who are you actually? Can you maybe like explain who you are to all those people that are here joining the KNX Secure Day?
Thank you, Christian. Very kind words. So I run Ivory Egg UK, and I'm also part of Ivory Egg Group. So we're a distributor for building control products, mainly KNX. We have other products available, but whenever we think about it, KNX is always the best solution. And tends to be the right solution. So as a technical distributor, that's where we focus. I've worked in a lot of different areas of the industry. I started as an integrator in 2006, and since then I've done various projects, worked in various sales roles, and now run one of the leading distributors for KNX worldwide.
All right, that is very impressive, and therefore, also thank you very much for taking the time for having this meeting with us. Let's go just right into the topic. This is the KNX Secure Day. We learned about KNX Secure as such, as an extension of the KNX standard. You are somebody who has his fingers everywhere. So you're in touch with the manufacturer, but at the same time, you also have your touch with the system integrators. What is your take on KNX Secure, to just address the elephant in the room?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. There's, having been working with KNX for so many years, it's really interesting to see the progression where, KNX has always been ahead of its time in terms of system architecture and using a distributed network. Then when security became more apparent in people's minds as a necessity, as they start to use more technology in their homes and buildings, commercial buildings, KNX was very quick to offer a solution with KNX Secure. So in that sense, I think it's fantastic. Where the challenge has always been is getting that into the real world and getting products up to date, and how do we work with existing installations where you've got products that might be 20 years old that don't support KNX Secure with products that do. So, the last few years have been really interesting. It's kind of been this waiting game until enough manufacturers are releasing products that are secure, and we've got solutions for integrating existing systems that don't even know about KNX Secure with the more modern devices that do. So, it's been, I think it's really good we're at this point now where it's a conversation we can have with integrators, with clients on projects, because we're there. There are enough products now, there's enough solutions, and it's incredibly timely because never has security been more of an issue in people's buildings and homes. So I think it's absolutely right, and it's a really good progression, and it's been interesting seeing it unfold over the last few years to get to the point where we are now. I still think we're ahead of the game, and that's the key, really. So,
before we talk about, let's say, what you have available currently in your portfolio, you mentioned something about the past, so I would quickly like to have a look at the past and maybe see what actually changed the whole KNX environment. So you said before that the topic of security started to come up. My question here is, so first of all, when did it start? When did it come up? And second, why? Why, all of a sudden? Was security never something that you needed to have in your smart home? For me, it's the question very interesting because everybody always had a door and everybody always had a key. Yeah. Why was this never demanded for when it came to a smart home installation, which is also my own four walls?
Yeah, sure. I think there was a really interesting dynamic. It's mainly from the UK. I think it is different in different countries. But, having worked on projects years ago where you could always do it secure, right? You can always put in a VPN and make it so that if you wanted to access your system remotely, you needed to, open another app and start a VPN. Customers didn't want to do that. They wanted it to be easier. They wanted to open the app and connect to the building. So they were willing to accept the risk of opening ports, if we're looking at the IP layer, not the device layer, but opening ports on the network to be able to make it easy to access my home. But that was 10, 15 years ago, when there wasn't the same degree of kind of hacking and awareness of it, because it was quite cutting edge, certainly in the smart home industry anyway, cutting edge technology. Where it really changed actually was when we had better solutions for it. It was a solutions-led thing to say, well, actually, we can give you an ease of access. It's not complicated, but it is secure. And that's where, some of the cloud-based solutions we see at the moment from different KNX manufacturers, where, you're connecting to the cloud and the cloud's connecting to the installation. So you don't need a VPN, you're not connecting directly to the network. When those solutions started coming out, it meant we could actually own the conversation with the customer. And instead of kind of saying, yeah, we can make it easy for you, but there's a bit of a risk, but probably downplay it a little bit, all of a sudden we could say, we can make your home secure from an external point of view. We're not opening ports, we're not introducing these risk factors. And because it's product-led, it meant that, moving into now, we now have products so that we can further that conversation. So it's not about necessarily customers saying, I want my home to be secure. I think the market has a responsibility to lead it and say, we can make your home secure, because most people purchasing a smart home, they don't know what's possible. They're looking to us as an industry, as the experts in the room. So putting it front and center is important. I think there's also been a real shift in the market of understanding. Over the years, we've seen various, large-scale hacks, whether it was a IP camera.
Sorry to interrupt you. But actually, what you actually said here, people were willing to take a risk for the sake of having some kind of comfort. This is currently what we're experiencing right now, because you see the market being swarmed with IoT solutions, one cheaper than the other. And of course, when it goes as cheap down there, then we all have to make sacrifices. And one of the sacrifices is security.
Yeah.
So you talked about that this was something that we experienced actually something 15 years ago. I think this is something that we're actually experiencing right now.
No,
and now here comes you, where I actually see the need for let's say, not only a toy or a gadget, that we actually need a proper system here. Of course, I'm from KNX Association, but also me personally, I think that having just some kind of gadgets which give easy access to your router, actually, this is something where you should maybe consider maybe I should invest this extra $1 or not.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the awareness as well. For so long things were insecure and it wasn't a big problem because nobody really knew it was a problem. And then a couple of large scale hacking started in from probably 2010 on, not KNX, I mean IoT ones where you've got, cameras being hacked or, soft toys or the kid's IoT device and all that. And that really brought it into the consumer awareness that there is a sacrifice you're making, right? And at the same time, we have the big push from the likes of the European Union on GDPR and making people a lot more aware about how they exist in that digital environment. It's not, as you say, Christian, when something's cheap, there's a reason you're making a sacrifice. And the more people understand that, I think it's important we tell people that and reinforce that and say, there is a better way of doing it. We can make it secure. We can make your home safe, not just for you and as an occupant, but also in that kind of digital environment. And look, in IoT, it's improved massively. If you connect a device now, if you buy a new IoT device, it's so much further advanced in terms of security and having unique passwords and, using things like single sign-on or emails. You don't remember your password, it just emails you a link and you come back, two-factor authentication. All of that has moved us on massively, but it seems to be little bits. What's really interesting with KNX Secure is it was a wholesale, because of the way KNX set up, it was, right, what's the best way of doing this at a system level? Right, let's get that standardized, ratified, signed off. Now let's develop the products and put it to market. All these IoT solutions, they do it the other way around. Let's develop a product, let's get it to market, and then let's work out what's wrong with it, and then let's make it secure to protect the customer. I know which one I would rather, so.
Right. You said it before, and now I actually would like to move on, after we had this history lesson and the need for KNX Secure. You mentioned that once everything was ready, then devices started to be manufactured, devices started to be started to be available. Now, having you here as the representative of one of the biggest KNX distributors worldwide, can you just give us some insights, maybe, compared to when we launched KNX Secure, from when the first device was available? How is actually the race of availability of KNX Secure devices? Do we have more?
For sure. So absolutely. So pretty much every product that's been released since about end of 2019, 2020, COVID's messed everything up a little bit for everybody across the world. So things have been delayed. But now every new product will have KNX Secure as a default. And because ranges have been updated, so a manufacturer might bring out a new range of dimmers and then the old one gets, is made defunct. Now that product will exist in the market and might work for 10 years. But the new versions do have KNX Secure. And we are now, really, I think in the last 12 months, we've started to see manufacturers updating existing products where, because that was always my concern, is that you've got a product that does a really good job, right? It's a simple device, but they got it right first time. It doesn't need to be updated. In reality, it probably wouldn't get updated for 5 to 10 years because it does the job it needs to do. It's very simple, it works. And my concern was that we wouldn't see KNX Secure get to a saturation point because manufacturers would be reluctant to update products that already worked. But that's what has been a lot better than I've expected, and manufacturers are actively updating their products to make them KNX Secure. And there's also another aspect which is kind of weird, but because of the microchip shortage we've had and has affected the industry quite badly, a lot of manufacturers have struggled and are having to bring forward their development plans to modify their products to use the chips that they can get and that they can secure a supply of for the months and years ahead. That has completely turned development cycles on their head, and we're actually seeing products being updated much earlier than they would have kind of naturally expected to be. That's pushing the manufacturers to get new value out of it, release new functions, but also gives them a great opportunity to add KNX Secure. So, I think in terms of products we sell, I'd say we're probably, up to 60 or 70% would be supporting KNX Secure. That's a rough, because also people want the newer product. You could say, I could use this keypad from a manufacturer that's actually been available for 10 years. Or I'll use the new design, which has been available for 2 years. Well, you're going to go for the newer one, aren't you? So that's why I think we have seen some really good progression on it. And it is good, yeah. I think it's really good. So.
Oh, nice. Okay, that's interesting. And maybe also a big congratulations to you, being like one of the first adopters of KNX Secure, as well as to the team of KNX Association.
Yeah, of course.
Obviously did very well in terms of homeworks. I would also now like to ask one question that about a topic that was raised during the last panel discussion that we had before.
Sure. Okay.
You are an expert, let's say, also in integration and everything else that evolves around KNX. One of the points that was mentioned was with KNX Secure, we can be a bit more loose on the other instruments that were proposed in the Secure checklist. For example, use traditional methods of securing a KNX installation. What is your take on that with KNX Secure? Can we just leave every door open because you can't enter the installation anyway? Or what would you recommend here to keep?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question. It really is. I think that there's there's a duty of care, right, to your project, to your customer, to the person paying the bill ultimately, and the people that are going to live with these systems for the future. And sometimes those are different people. The duty of care is to do the best we can, and to say that we have a really secure bus communication, so that means I don't need to put other protection in place, I think is dangerous. However, there's some simple examples of that, like the BCU password. Now, we've had a lot of troubles with the BCU password over the years, where an integrator has set a BCU password and then not recorded that and not shared that with the homeowner. So 10, 15, 20 years later, the customer comes to the project to update it and can't download to the bus couplers. So BCU is quite a rough mechanism to secure a project. We now have a much more elegant system using KNX Secure, with ETS needing to know the password before, because it's got the keys integrated. And that is still a single password, but we're not hard coding the device in terms of downloading. So I think that is a good example where you don't necessarily need to put the BCU password in, because the whole system is secure in such a different way because of the ETS connection. But I think in terms of some of the physical aspects, I think it's still really important. People can do a lot of damage if they get to the bus. It's as simple as that. It's the same as any installation, same as your your mains installation. If someone wants to short the live to earth, it's going to take out the breaker. That's not going to work. That is inherently insecure. So protecting the exactly. So there is still a responsibility to make installations secure. I also think that for me, it kind of comes to what I said at the beginning. It's being able to say to the customer and really sell to the customer. It's designed in, the security of your system is designed in, and that means it's actually part of your sales process. It's part of your quoting, your designing, and saying to the customer, you are paying for a top of the line, secure building control system. And I will do everything I can as an installer integrator to make sure it's secure. And that might be the difference between you and your competitors. It's certainly going to be the difference between you and a different system. And if you're going to approach the customer with that mentality, then you should be doing everything possible to make it secure. But I think there is probably some wiggle room now where there maybe wasn't in the past.
Okay, bravo. Thank you very much for that. I have 2 more questions for which I would like to hear your honest answer. First question is, where do you see KNX Secure in 5 years?
Wow, that's a big question. I think that I'd like it to be default. I'd love to see integrators using it without thinking about it. And our ETS has gone a lot, ETS 6 in particular, has gone a long way to making that happen. Where if you've got secure products in your project, you might as well make it secure. So I'd love to see us at the point where that is happening without thought. It just you do secure as a kind of just automatically. I think that the recent addition of segment the KNX Secure proxy, enabling you to link insecure devices with secure via a coupler, which has the additional function, and we already have some in the market. There are IP routers out there which will enable you to have one side secure or to link secure objects to insecure objects. I think there's a real opportunity over the next 5 years to be going back to projects and updating them, offering newer products, best of breed new products to solve new challenges like COVID, for example, being able to say we'll better manage the air quality and the ventilation of the property, and say actually we can put a secure layer with the new devices and link that to the insecure devices, so you're not needing to completely overhaul the system. So I think that the market's got a long way to go in terms of its understanding and its ability to do that. But I'd like to think that in the next 5 years, we'll get to a point where we are, projects are being made secure as a specific action, if you like, instead of I want it to be automatic, so it's happening without thought, but also actually it's a proactive step. We're going back to installations and making them fit for the future, for the next 10, 15 years. So, yeah.
Final answer. Now the floor is open to you completely. You have manufacturers, you've got system integrators, you've got other people currently listening to you right now. Do you have something that you would like to tell all those people in regards of KNX Secure, of course?
Keep going, I think would be the big thing. We've got integrators that are trying to navigate it at the moment and work out how to use KNX Secure in the best way to meet certain requirements. I think we need to see the secure proxy used a lot more and a lot more expansively. The ones I've seen, they support 20 objects. So you can have 20 objects connecting from from an insecure device to a secure device or devices. That's not many on a large project. On a commercial project, you would get through 20 objects in the blink of an eye. So a much higher support of secure proxy, I think, is needed for us to move forward. And then the other big one is taking the opportunity to look at your existing product set and say, not only what do I need to make it secure, but what else can I do to this product to make it future-proof? Because we've got systems now that are coming back where customers have purchased a house and it had KNX installed 20 years ago, and it's still working, but it needs updated. But those products, actually, do you know what? Some of those products haven't really changed over 20 years. So how do we take this opportunity to update products, to make them secure, to build on the hard work of the KNX Association? But how do we really push the industry on? What can you do as a manufacturer to make products better, to make the solution smarter? Because it's a competitive world out there. KNX Secure gives us a really, really strong kind of tool in the arsenal, if you like, or it's a real USP for the system. But we need more than that. We need real innovation and progression. Hopefully we're going to see that at Light and Building this year, obviously in October. A long time since we've all been together as an industry, so that's really exciting. And it's going to be interesting to see what kind of products are coming out. I think the adoption of KNX Secure so far has been absolutely fantastic. And that's what I mean. We've got to keep going, but what else can we do? How else can we be better as an industry? So.
Brilliant. Mark, thank you very much for your insights of KNX Secure and the little time travel that we had, plus your opinions of the market. That was definitely very insightful. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Mark Warburton representing KNX UK. Now, after Mark, we are now moving on to our next speaker, Frank from KNX USA, and we shall learn a bit more about the market conditions in the US. Mark, thank you again. For any questions, feel free to leave a comment, a question, or just send us an email. We would be more than happy to answer your question. Thanks, Mark, and see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. Christian, thanks.